Okay, hello everyone. It's me again. Yasi Kurd. I am the Assistant Director of the Career Services at the May Center for Experiential Learning and Community Engagement. Today, actually, in this session is the very last session of the 3 days amazing week, majors and minors week. So today, the focus in this session, it's gonna be education. But before jumping, as always, Dr. Mary Kay Cooper, thank you so much to make this amazing event happen.
Thank you, alumni. Thank you.
And of course, like we have today, 3 alumnus that hopefully they're gonna be sharing, their wisdom with you and then experience, but also they're gonna share with you some practical tips. Before we jump in our amazing conversation, I'm so excited about that. Just some, the housekeeping items and then reminders. I believe that it's important to highlight. The very first, please, if students you join on, you can just go ahead, type your questions on the chat box. And then if we're speaking, please just, of course, unmute yourself. But if you're not speaking, it will be great if you mute yourself just to have, conversation the smoother, is because sometimes like it's really hard to eliminate the background, the noise. And as promised, it's already, the recorded. I hit. Our speaker said, yeah, you can record it. So I'm doing it. And then it's going to be available on Tamisame's YouTube channel, hopefully later on today. So our students, and Jaguar community who cannot join this session will be able to, they have this amazing session. And today we have Jamie Goodwin. So as you can see on the screen that how exciting it is because, okay, so one student, let me admit it. Okay, I'm trying to multitask. Yes, I did it. Okay, as you can see on the screen, how exciting is that is because the Jamie not only graduated from us once, not twice, but 3 times. Wow. So definitely she's gonna be talking about that later on. And then you can see that her, the new title or her title is Consultant School Support Team. And then she works with the Region 20 in Education Service Center. And I really like, that words of encouragement, but some of the highlight, don't give up. I believe that really summarized the whole the point. Thank you, Jamie, for that. And then today, the second person we're gonna have, Jen Mundine. Jen was with us just until recently, so we're missing her so much. I need to say that in recording as well, so it's gonna be in recording. Clarissa Tejada, our Associate Director of Career Services, she said that she missed Jen a ton, but all of us, we miss you so much, Jen.
Thank you, sir. I miss you too.
Jen is working right now with Alumni Colleges Foundation as Executive Assistant to Institutional Investment and the Foundation. So as you can see that there are several things like really listed, but it's important. I believe it's like all about building relationships. We remember Jen with, really taking time to say hi, every single one of us, wherever we are, even she is busy. So I remember Jen with that smile as well. So it's important again to have that, the partnership with every single one on campus, not just the leadership, the staff, faculty, but students. So I believe that we remember Jen with that, being role model. And also Juanita Sepulveda with us. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name, Juanita, but Juanita is co-founder and executive director, so CEO and COO, how fancy, the titles. So it's amazing. We're gonna be talking about this today a lot, but the 3 Speaker podcast, and also the Simplify Homes, the Venue and Investments, I believe, available if you wanna, to look at them as well, the employment with these places. And also, as she highlights, it's very important to make that decision about the career and then be obsess about it is a good way, of course, and then fully investing in it. Is how amazing is that. I believe that as we career advisors, we always highlight the importance of it. Invest your time in it. Okay, so let me stop sharing. Okay, so we can see all each other. And I'm gonna go ahead and start with the first question, if you don't mind. So the first question is like really to get to know you a little bit more regarding your educational and professional background, but also we want to hear why you picked this particular career. How about if we start with Jamie, with you?
Okay, thanks so much for having me be a part of this. So for me, I chose education as my career choice because my parents got divorced when I was young, and we moved around quite a bit. So I went to a different school every year of school until I was a sophomore. And without divulging my age, I think you can probably figure it out, but in the early 80s, divorce was still pretty new. And so we were moving around a lot, and my teachers were always very kind to me, and they were a big source of stability in my world. And so I felt like that was just something I wanted to do for myself and to try to kind of be that person for somebody else's future as well. And it just was always the teachers that gave me words of encouragement and helped me, and kind of took the time to get to know me and know my story to push me where I needed to go.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie. How about you, Juanita? What about your educational and professional background, and then how you picked this, particular career field?
Well, it was actually, I guess it was actually predicted for me. I had a professor that was at a junior college because I was headed to medical school. That was my original path. And one teacher says, "Why are you going to medical school? You should be a teacher." And I laughed at him. I said, "Yeah, okay." But as I was going through, I actually got my pre-medical studies degree. As I was going through school, I started remembering, everybody plants that seed, right? I remembered a high school teacher who, as I was getting ready to move, just like you, Jamie, to another school, she pulled me aside and she says, "I would never, ever tell a student this." She says, "But you're leaving and you need to know this." She says, "You are my favorite student." And I was shocked because she was so tough on me, right? She was just really, really tough on me. And I asked her, I said, "Well, I would have never known." She goes, "No," she says, "because I wanted you to know that you were more than what you were producing." And education became the foundation of everything for me. If I didn't have it, go look it up, go research it, discover it, explore it, pull it apart, put it back together. So education, even though I'm not in the field of education right now, education is still my foundation across everything. So I always felt that I was going to go from EC to 12 to be a teacher, and then eventually go into higher level education to be a professor. Those weren't, that wasn't the journey that actually developed. But when you talk about my education and my professional, it is education. It is the foothold that I hold on to every day, because through education, everything is possible.
I love that. How you said that education became the foundation in your career. That's amazing. I believe that the session is important. All the session series, honestly, all these 3 days, but in particular for, the education majors, our students, most of them, I don't want to generalize, but they think that if they are in the education, they have to be a teacher. Go to College of Education, study education teacher. You three are like really great examples. So hopefully, our students will find this very beneficial. But Jen, could you please share with us like your education and professional background, and then the particular field you are in right now, and then how that journey looked like in your case?
Certainly. So I went back to school later in life at 28 through Alumni colleges, and I actually began in a vocation rather than an education. But all that being said, I love leadership and I love administration work. And so my master's in the College of Education Human Development with A&M San Antonio was really because of the leadership opportunities that I thought would come my way. And they have, through my experiences working in the president's office there for 13 years, and now working for a foundation with Alumni colleges. A lot of the experiences that I have had over the years are really coming to play, and particularly with my relationships. I have a lot of relationships all over the city, and it's because of my work at A&M San Antonio primarily, and the opportunities that both presidents gave me in my work on campus. And what I would like to say to our students in the audience is that sometimes you think you're going to go one path and you end up going another path, but education is key and it's a great investment.
And I will say an amen to Jan, because my path is not what I envisioned, but I love it. But it's not what I envisioned. And I also, when you're the first person, you kind of missed that extra piece of the question. I'm sorry about that. But I didn't graduate from college until I was 30. So I was also a product of Alamo College District and attended there for a number of years, going part-time and working full-time, as a lot of us do. And so, and that's kind of where my path led as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Jamie,
Bravo.
Yeah.
yeah. And then Jamie, like you said, like really, this is, you know, what you didn't envision before. But the example I'm providing to students recently about Uber, Lyft, even, you know, some of the, you know, the apps that, you know, they use it, OfferUp, Letgo, you name it. Just until recently, we didn't have those. Like some of the brands we use it, like social media. Right now, we're talking about YouTubers as an occupation, social media specialists, the managers. So in that case, like really, the having that, you know, the mindset, you know, the fixed mindset, not the growth. Oh, okay, I'm going to College of Education, I'm going to be a teacher. It's hard. Recently, I'm challenging the students. They are like, wow.
Yeah.
So really, really great example. So thank you so much. Before we jump in the next questions, the Crystal Cervantes joined us. She's one of our academic advisors. So the Crystal, if you want to just introduce yourself very quick, and then maybe you can also share with us how you ended up, you know, in your career. Could you?
You're muted.
Yeah. Could you please unmute? Yeah.
I'm in the College of Education and Human Development. I also started off pursuing a teaching degree, and at the university I attended, I was actually offered a position in athletics. So for the past 10 years, I've been in higher ed now. So I completely agree with everyone on how their pathways maybe have changed over time, because I didn't know that because I got a degree in education meant that I was stuck in one certain type of career. So that expanding of career knowledge was really, really helpful for me.
Awesome. Thank you. So of course, you know, when we talk about career path and then career journey, life design, career planning, whatever, you know, you call it, always we talk about gaining real life experience, but also developing some skills. Recently, we, you know, talk a lot about, I don't like the soft skills. I mean, saying the soft skills, right? But it's like power skills, life skills, success skills, whatever we call it. Let's say 21st century skills is because getting really popular. So what are some skills it's necessary in that particular role you have right now? And then what are some skills you have developed since you started your career field? We can start with you, Jen.
So thank you for mentioning soft skills, because I want to say briefly that too often we forget about those soft skills, and we forget about teaching you wonderful freshman students what that's all about. But we have to think about that, because these skills will go with you for the rest of your life. So one of the things that, I'm sorry, your question was, repeat that one more time, I apologize.
So what are some skills that is needed, special skills, the key skills needed to be successful in the role you are in, and then some of the skills that you have developed over the time?
Okay, perfect. I think customer service is number one. In my work with meeting different people on a daily basis, whether it be a student to a CEO of a company, you have to remember to be graceful. You have to remember to listen. And those two things, I think, being graceful, being listening and not speaking, are very, very important in business. And being adaptable.
Yeah. Recently, we're talking about being adaptable and flexible very often with COVID in particular. But Jen, like you listed in your word of encouragement on the slide earlier, you know, I share with the audience, but really customer service, the building, you know, the relationships because of your role, development and foundation, it's like really two key skills. So hopefully our students, again, if they want to be your mini-me in the future, they need to go ahead and then develop those skills definitely. But
you know, the other thing is being a team player. You know, I may not have the answer, but what if one of my colleagues has the answer, or maybe if I'm working on a project with some students, maybe the students have a better strategy than I might have. So again, team playing and listening, all that plays a part.
Awesome. How about you, Juanita? What are like some key skills in your role?
Well, touching back on the professional background, you talked about social media. And if you had told me that I was going to be doing podcasting at my age and that it would really branch out and go global, I would have laughed. And I said, yeah, okay. But a year ago, we started preparing for that pivot, right? Because with the ideas of developing business development and brick and mortar, you had to think about, in what direction was I really going to be going? Plus, I still have kids at home. I still have 3 school-age children, right?
Okay.
And so the skills that I had to develop was adaptability, right? Just like you said, Jane, active listening, collaborative, and probably one of the biggest things that I see a lot when we're doing this is the follow through. What's the next steps, right? You can't count on a contract or a commitment without the follow through, right? Because you may have the contract, but if you're not reporting and you're not following up and you're not producing, you can just as easy as you won that contract or any kind of opportunity, it's just as easy that you can lose it. The skills that came along the way was the organizations that were at A&M, be involved and be present. When I talk about being an active listener, be present. Don't be developing your response, because if you're too busy concerned with what your response is, you're going to miss part of the picture, right? And that is what your education environment should be. And I was able to take full advantage. I've had some great staff, some great faculty, other students, that brought to light better presentations, better ideas, and really kind of made me aware of, okay, I'm weak at this. That's not a problem. Let me strengthen it. I don't possess that skill set, but who do I know who has that skill set? When we're in an education environment, you cannot look at it as competition. You have to look at it as collaborative, because you're trying to get to that same finish line together. The saying goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And that's really what I walked away from A&M, is being adaptive, a communicator, being a collaborative, which is that team player that Jane touched on. And the other thing too is the commitments you make sure that whatever commitment that you make sure there's a next step. Because don't just get to the finish line and say, okay, I'm done. Get to the finish line and set up another milestone. I think never just finishing, especially never just finish mentally. Your mind has to constantly be going, because that is your greatest asset, is your mind.
Awesome. Really great advice for our students as well. I'm sorry, it's because like the earlier we had the kinesiology background, the people, and then the other day I had, the people with the in physical therapy field, and then they were talking about how active listening is like so important, communication. It's counselors, the same thing as well. So you touch base with that. I believe like for any communication, doesn't matter of your role,
Right.
As long as you work with, the people, then you have to make sure that like really, you're learning from each other, but also showing the respect and then listening well, not just to answer, but to understand. It's really, really great point.
But the other thing too is, just because you've graduated and you've gotten your degree, the one thing I challenged myself after I left A&M is constantly finding books, right?
Mhm.
Reading for yourself, professional development for yourself, not have someone assign it to you. But if you decide you want to write a proposal, read on it, develop it, take the time for that. Because I read this one book on the compound effect that said, one of the greatest ways to achieve either weight loss, financial stability, career advancement is journal it. You know, write it down, because the moment you write it down, it takes reality, and then somebody's going to ask you about it, and you're going to have that conversation, and then it goes out there. But then you have to constantly think about it and refresh yourself, because that's really planting the seed on your next steps.
Awesome, thank you. Jamie, how about in your case, what are some key skills that you can share with our students?
I echo everything that Jan and Juanita had shared so far. One of the things that I think that's a little bit different in my pathway is I actually, while I was putting myself through school, worked part-time at some of our Catholic schools, and I did some after-school cheerleading and dance programs. And so I was kind of involved while I was trying to get towards my college degree and certification. And I think that what I would add to everything that they have said is really finding your tribe. And so this is a female dominated profession. And so certainly there are a lot of great males in this profession, but there are a lot of female professionals. And unfortunately, I'm just going to go on a limb. I think sometimes when we're younger, we're a little catty, and that competition piece kind of gets in our way. And there just comes a level of wisdom and maturity and just kind of finding your groove and finding your tribe, and really understanding that you want to be a part of that team and be collaborative, like Juanita said, but recognizing that you've got people that you can depend on. This is a hard profession, and a lot of people don't understand it because they're not in it. And I think that there's this misconception that because we've all been students, that being a teacher isn't that hard. And that is absolutely not the truth. And so when I finally got my certification and I was a special education teacher, a lot of my kids were just regular kids. They just had a learning disability, or, you know, maybe had some domestic issues in their way. And empathy is probably what I would add to the list of what Jan and Juanita shared, is finding your tribe and really making sure that you have empathy. You don't have to understand everybody, but you have to recognize that whatever they're going through, even if you can't understand it, is still their truth. And you have to be empathetic towards that.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
It's great. Jamie, let's continue with you then. Since Juanita, you know, highlighted the importance of reading books, right? Normally that wasn't one of my questions, but, you know, with COVID, I started reading more than ever. And then I'm like, wow, COVID is, yeah, it's bad, but okay, I'm more productive than ever, that sense. So what are like some, I'm sure that you are very busy, but just the recent, maybe the books that you read, you can maybe advise our students to just take a look at and then review and read.
So right now, my books, I'm actually still at work. And so I'm going to share with you, if you are an educator and you're in the K-12 system, you need to read this book. It's Get Better Faster by Paul Brambrick and Toyo. This is the book to read, as is Leverage Leadership and Teach Like a Champion. And these are great books. And the other thing I will tell you, I've been reading a little bit more too with this COVID stuff. So I do lots of this work in my school improvement. But I think that now that I'm at Region 20 and have some exposure to things, if I only knew this when I was a teacher. So these are good books. They're hard to read and they're hard to understand, but I'll help you. Like, just give me a call. But the one that I'm reading right now for professional and personal growth is called Step Up by Ash Beckham. And it is not an educational leadership book, it is just a personal leadership book. And she talks about 8 pillars of characteristics. And she is really talking through as a female. And part of her story is coming out as a lesbian who is just trying to kind of go through her own leadership and find her own way. And while the book is not around that, she shares some of her stories, but some of the things that I've really loved about her stories is just really embracing your individuality, the empathy, you know, fighting through your own challenges, whatever that is. And she's done a TED Talk, and she talks about coming out of the closet, and not literally as a gay person, but as everybody has something. Everybody has something that they're not proud of or scared of or trying to work through. And she kind of describes it, if it just doesn't sit well in your gut, then it's something that you have to work through. And that has just been really a really great book for me. And I'm almost done, and I strongly recommend it. It's an easy read, and I think everybody will like it.
Awesome, thank you. How about you, Jen? Any interesting books that you can share with us?
Well, I'm a little behind the strengths-based leadership. So I started reading the strengths-based leadership by Don Clifton, and recently finally went through that process of what were my top strengths. And I always wanted to do that with Dr. Blanton over at A&M San Antonio, but as a part of the leadership team in my new office, we are going through that process right now, and it's been really very good for me. And learning what those top 5 themes are for me, not a surprise, it wouldn't shock anyone, but I think it says a lot about yourself and how you work with teams and what you can learn about that. And the other thing, I've just been reading some, oh, she's a Mexican author, and I'm sorry, Sandra Cisneros, one of her famous books. I can't even think of the name of it right now, but I'm rereading it. She's one of my favorites. That's pretty much it.
Clarissa will be very happy once, that she listened to you, is because as, the certified coach, right? But also, like, we encourage our students to really take Clifton Spring assessment seriously. It's mandatory, but also learning about it and, embarrassing in their, the life, applying that. It's like really the important. Thank you, Jen. Juanita, you mentioned about reading books, but any interesting books that you can share with our students?
Well, a few years ago, I don't know, can you hear me? I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. A few years ago, I started and challenged myself to read 12 books a year.
Wow.
And I met those without a hitch. And this past couple of years, I challenged myself to do 24. And the reason I do that, and believe me, it's not that I'm an overachiever. Please do not, get that picture of me. That's not what I'm trying to do. My focus was, how can I improve myself, right? And I did. I improved myself. And the other thing too is, if you stay in a box your entire life, that's where you're going to maintain, right? And sometimes even with the climate right now with COVID, right? You don't have the opportunity to be able to go out, and see new worlds, right? And so be it. So I started reading, and one of the recent one was the 12 Pillars by Widener and Rowan. It made me emotional, and it made me realize, oh my gosh, I've been doing this. Okay, I got to really work better on this. Because what I discovered in my readings are, I had to look at myself holistically, right? And sometimes people tell you, wow, you're really good at this. And then you discover, they're doing something that's just as phenomenal. So I started looking at The Go-Giver by Mann and Berg, the 12 Pillars. This is one of my favorites. And I know it sounds crazy because the way it comes across is Be Obsessed or Be Average by Cardone, right? Be obsessed or be average. Now, most people are going to think about it as in a negative, content, but that's why, my words of wisdom is, be completely obsessed and invested, because you have to take ownership of your decision of your career, right? However, just because this is your initial choice does not mean that your path can't go lateral, right? Just because you're in one field does not mean that you're not called to be in another. My background was special education and bilingual. I obtained both masters, and I just knew that was my career. That was where I was going to be. Now I do podcasting. I have vacation homes. And right now, as I mentioned, we're getting ready to create a patent that's going to be affecting the stock market. Now, if you told me I was going to sit down and come up with this process, I would have never given myself that opportunity. But reading outside your box, having these interactions, puts you at a whole different level of thinking, not just for yourself, but the people that you're going to touch, especially as an educator. You are that pivoting point for that student. You really are. You make such an impact that sometimes you can make or break them. And I thought about that I'm listening to these ladies and just flashbacks of all these amazing teachers that just fed into me and reminded me, you are never alone. One, with your faith, and two, as long as you have a book, you have company. You have company. And now you even have it digitally. So, and I'm dyslexic. So, I discovered that at the age of 25 that I was dyslexic. But I didn't look at it as a disadvantage. I looked at it as an advantage, and I discovered so many other things through reading.
So what a great success story. And like you said, you wouldn't know back in then, what will you do right now? And like the podcast, social media. And then I believe that is one of the, the advice really, I always share with my students, think outside of the box. You don't have to be a designer. Recently, we're talking about life design or design thinking framework very often. So generate ideas. Out there are right now the ideas really these college students produce. $1 million, $1 billion, like you're talking about. There are many ideas maybe among our students that easily can be patented, but there's a fear always. So, I mean, you three as role models, hopefully, they're going to be really getting excited and then don't be scared anymore to generate their ideas and then execute them. This is the most important part. So it's amazing. Thank you, Juanita, for sharing that story with us. My next question about your time at A&M San Antonio. So how A&M San Antonio education prepared you for your after graduation, like pretty much your professional, career? Maybe we can start with Jamie this time.
Okay. I was one of the first graduating classes when we were in the portables back at Palo Alto. And I think, Jan, you were one of the ones that helped me with my paperwork at some point. That was, it was great because you knew that you were part of something that was about to happen. And my story is a little bit probably like most of yours. I started going to college after high school, but I started at UTSA at the time. UTSA was the choice, the public school that was available, and I just didn't have a good time there. I felt that I had been successful in high school, and then I got to these large lecture halls and stuff and just couldn't balance my time and couldn't find the relationships that I had known in school and my teachers and my professors. And so my parents really just said, you need to kind of prioritize what you need to do. And so that's when I just decided to work. And I was going to school part-time, and Alamo College was doing a lot of specials, taking 2 classes for the price of 1. And those were some really wonderful opportunities for me. And then when I finally had enough credit hours and I thought I was on the right path and was ready to go back to UTSA, I did not have an assigned degree plan, and they would not honor my courses. And so I talked to the counselor at San Antonio College, and she said, listen, A&M Kingsville is partnering up. They're trying to get this charter going with San Antonio, and they're really working with us. Go meet with Margie. And she audited my files, and she was able to figure out a way to take 89 out of my 91 hours. And because I just thought I was going to die if I was going to have to stay in school that much longer. And while I wanted a degree in education, what was most beneficial for me was to get a degree in psychology. And that was the way I could start and finish fastest. And I actually could finish in about 3 semesters. And so I majored in psychology and minored in juvenile delinquency and criminology. And the professors at the time, we're multi-teaching a lot of things. And I felt like the opportunities to have the small classrooms, even in the Palo Alto portables, really was the right fit for me in the small classrooms. And the professors, I know some of them are still there and some of them are not, but I've maintained some pretty decent relationships with some. And when it was hard and I was crying and it was night, and they would let me bring my pillow because my back hurt, or they would let me bring my dinner because I was hungry, or they understood that I had a meeting and needed to be late, or would meet with me on the phone or after hours, was just what I needed. The support was there. And so to understand that you have to be flexible and you have to be empathetic, and people will be good to you, and be honest. just be honest and tell them what your story is. And I'll tell you, one time someone told me that that I was a leader and that I was upset about a group project and I didn't like what was going on. And he said, you know what, you're a leader. And he said, and you don't have to like it, but you're the leader in this group. And he said, you're going to figure it out. And he gave me some tough love. And man, when that project was done, it was so prideful. But it was the connections and it was the soft skills and those life lessons that we talked about earlier and that Jan has kind of, mentioned as well. It's the connections and it's the understanding. And I remember that when I finished one of my courses, my professor told me that I could call her by her first name because we were no longer teacher student and that we were now colleagues. And that it was hard for me to switch. Sometimes she's still called by her professor name, but that was so empowering and it was so wonderful.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, definitely that connectedness with faculty and your peers and your staff, it's helping a lot to connect it to college, feel belong. And then that definitely leads to, the career success later on. Thank you. How about you, Jen? So 2019, I can see that. So you were working with us and then you took a degree. So how did it help you to shape your leadership role, I will say?
I'm going to say ditto to everything, Jamie, what you said was so perfect because I did take a little bit of a different, how do you say it? Step in the journey. I'm not a teacher. I'm not an administrator, but requires a lot of leadership, especially starting a new job at the beginning of a pandemic. So my new job started on March 16th. So that was tough. It was very, very tough. First of all, I was leaving a place I had been for 13 years and going to a place that I didn't know a lot of people, but I made my way, and you just have to have grit, right? So what really prepared me were those hard projects that Jamie was talking about, where you ended up being the leader and you had to make sure other people were doing their piece. A master's program is not easy at all. It takes a lot of diligence. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of work. And the professors are tough, but I too have kept my relationships with all my former professors from A&M San Antonio, and then some in my undergrad work. But I think it all for me goes back to the relationships and how I have kept those relationships going. And since the pandemic, I got into writing again. For me, writing has been also therapeutic. I left a beautiful place behind, but I made a choice, right? And for me, it was time to start something new in my life. And so every week I try to write 5 notes to different people, just catch up. Sometimes I do phone calls. As I've gotten busier in my new job, you can't do all of that, but you can certainly send a note now and then, right? So kind of those how do you say it? That's kind of the old day thing. So many people now do so much by email, but why not reach out and touch someone with a card or a note? I too learned a lot of that in my position at A&M San Antonio, because the president sends out a lot of correspondence, and there were a lot of times I had to remind her of special things coming up for different community leaders, birthdays, marriages, deaths, babies being born. So a lot of that stems from my experience there.
That makes connections, even it's like stronger that way. It's like more personalized, I will say. Even for the students like seeking for new opportunities, applying for jobs, sometimes we're talking about thank you emails. Sometimes they ask, it should be email. How about if I write?
No.
Please do it. If you want to do it, do it. That is a huge, handwrite. It's a huge plus. Makes the difference for sure. So yeah, thank you, Jen. That is making the difference.
Cursive is being brought back in the curriculum. If that's a lost art, they're bringing it back.
Yes, they are. I have a daughter-in-law who's a first grade teacher, Jamie, in Northside.
It's a lost art. I've done that as well, Jan. I've been trying my best to send about 5 notes a week through the mail, and people
Wow.
love it. They love it. I do
They
too.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
It's a
amazing.
good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Juanita, how about you? How that education prepare you for this new journey? Of course, it's like totally different than maybe what you were thinking you earlier said, but how that work in your case?
Well, you know, Jan knows my story, and
Yes.
we've talked about it extensively sometimes, because we often wonder, how the heck did we make it through, right? And I've had the pleasure of her being able to meet my children.
Yeah.
I have a total of 7 children. And in 2011, December 26, 2011, we received a call right after Christmas that they were going to take our home. And that was right when I was graduating with my bachelor's from A&M. And not too many people knew, right? We actually were homeless for about 6 months. And instead of having a pity party, we just, we buckled down. I went right back to get my master's. I had some amazing staff and faculty that, as they started discovering, not very many, like I said, not very many people knew. They didn't pat me poor Juanita or anything like that. It's just, they helped me refocus on what was the next steps. That's why when I say, know what your next steps are important, sometimes those are your lifelines that you're going to hang on to. And so what I learned during that time is, you don't necessarily, have to have all this pity and sorrow, and I'm so sorry this is happening to you and things of that nature. You're going through it. Sometimes you just need to hang on to anchor to 1 or 2 people who are your mentors without even you realizing you're your mentors, right? And eventually, Jamie, like you said, they become your friends. And so what I learned from A&M is that remove fear. When you're in that type of educational environment, fear can do 1 or 2 things. It can freeze you in your place, or it can propel you to the success that you're intended to.
And fear causes that. So go to the propel.
Yes. And so what I learned is, I'm not telling you to abandon anything, but what I'm telling you is to analyze and really make a reality plan that is to your benefit. That is the time that you should be selfish. And under normal circumstances, people tell you, don't be selfish. When you're talking about your education, this is when you should give yourself permission to be selfish and really focus on those gold nuggets that these professors and faculty and staff pour into you. And walking away from A&M, my time there, I learned to focus. I learned to prioritize. I learned to value. And I learned to just not quit. Right? And it's okay to be fearful, because fear does not mean I'm weak. That just means I've realized where I need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I learned at A&M.
And I would agree with Juanita. I know I've already spoken, but I'm just not going to lie, this has been a hard week for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
And today's definitely been a better day. But someone said, like, you just always get up, and you just always get up. Like, it's not even an option. Like, it never even crosses your mind that you're not supposed to. You just do.
Yeah.
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 And the last thing is, from A&M, don't forget where you came from.
Amen.
Don't forget.
That's right.
In order to go forward, you have to remember where you started. And a lot of us found ourselves at A&M, and I'm gonna put that call to action. If you found yourself at A&M, give back to A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Pay it forward. That's
Yeah.
right.
And if all you have is time to give, then that's what you do.
That's right too.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Thank you so much. And then what you're all doing, honestly, with this session, sharing your wisdom and experience success stories, even failures, with our students. So really appreciate for giving back to, of course, A&M San Antonio. So that's great. Juanita, how they say that, the practice what you preach. And then when I saw the slide for the words of wisdom, when I see obsessed, and then what was the invest your time right, in whatever the career path. And then right now you're talking about, your story, being homeless 6 months, the bachelor's, but keep going, keep, working on it, the master's and everything. Such an inspirational story. I mean, I met you today virtually, right? Virtual handshake, virtual handmade, the meeting, but like really, it's amazing. Hopefully our students will be learning from this inspirational story to better understand and comprehend. Keep going, do something, take an action. All of you mentioned about it. Like, I loved it. I'm having a great conversation, great time. Thank you so much. And then learn.
Our pleasure.
Of course. Awesome. So I have a few more questions. Then we are, the almost in time. But so regarding some of the effective, the strategies, maybe you can share with our students who are seeking positions maybe in your field. I mean, I know that the Juanita, for instance, for you, it's like a really different than the
Sure.
James and Jamie's case. But what are like some strategies really you can share with our students? Whoever wants to take the lead.
I can start.
Okay.
I think internships are really important. And you freshmen, class of 2024, you're our future. And I think that you need to get to know the May Center very well. Dr. Kurt here, who's moderating us today, they are doing some wonderful work there in that center. But internships can give you opportunities to future positions, to full-time positions at that for that matter. I know that I am right now hiring a young lady to be in our office to help us do a myriad of things such as research, do some data collecting, all of those different things prepare you for your future positions and give you that experience that one might be looking for. And it also looks really good on a resume.
Thank you, Jen. Definitely.
I can go next. In my career at Region 20, we are a liaison between the state of Texas and the Texas Education Agency and the school districts. And so the state is broken up into 20 regions. Region 20 covers from like Eagle Pass and Uvalde area over towards probably Falls City, Nixon, and then down towards Crystal City. It's pretty large geographically. We have lots of positions here. My position was formerly called a specialist. I'm now considered a consultant. It was a change because I have my master's degree. But my specialty is school improvement. And I have a special ed background. And I work with campuses who have not met federal accountability and state assessment accountability. And so my personal job and my position is to work with campuses and help them go through the requirements of the state and the federal programs of getting out of that process. I've got colleagues that do migrant supports or Title I supports. We've got people that do business supports. We've got another section that does coding and software design. There's marketing and things like that. We have different levels and different things. So you don't have to have been a teacher to do to work here, but you would have had to have been a teacher to do what I do. But prior to that, I was a teacher, and I will tell you my best piece of advice, and I think I've shared this in another panel, is that if you're looking to go into the classroom in a K-12, don't discount taking a small rural town school job. I will tell you that we often find that people want to go to our larger metro districts, and it's great, and most of the time there's a lot of wonderful supports and probably even better pay. But I started my career in a small school district, and I support a lot of small school districts. And they may not pay as much, but when you think about going from having 30 kids in a classroom to possibly having 11, and to having some, a lot more individualized support, I would never give up my opportunity that I had starting in a small school district, because the relationships that I built and the opportunities of learning that I was able to get in that small school district really helped me to be successful when I did make a move to a big school district. So I think that sometimes people say, oh, I don't want to drive 30 minutes to that small school district right outside of San Antonio. Drive out there, take that 1 year, 2, 3, and I bet you fall in love, because there's some really wonderful things about some of our small rural school districts, and even charters that have so much to offer. There's pros and cons to everything, so don't judge too quickly. That's what I would advise.
Great advice. Thank you, Jamie. Juanita?
Resources. Wow. I would never discard the idea of going back to teaching. I literally teach every day. I kid you not. I whether I'm in a classroom or not, we were taught from the beginning, education one-on-one. Your parents are your first teachers. And I really take that to heart, because I'm a parent, I'm a colleague, I'm a friend, I'm a veteran, I'm a mother. I teach every day, and you have to take a look at from that perspective, because you yourself, I myself am a resource. I may say something to someone that will completely change the trajectory of their journey, right? And so for my field is, the stock market, working with options trading, the Forex, and things of that nature, that it was not in my scope, not at all. Podcasting, we do publications, we do marketing, we do PR, we do webinars, we do, lead generations, we do conversions, that I was thinking I was going to teach special education and and bilingual. But it's that reading that faculty, and the staff had. So my resources, what resources is first your imagination. I'm going to tell you, that's your first resource. Don't stop dreaming. Don't stop exploring. And you're not just a teacher. Never consider yourself just a teacher. Other resources is you've got webinars. We're in this climate of COVID. Webinars, podcasts. Jan said the same thing, picking up the phone and having a conversation. You never know when your next resource is going to present itself. I'm going to use this cliche. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right?
Yeah.
And I really do believe that. I really do believe that. So don't limit yourself to what we tell you as resources. We are just the beginning point. Anyone who comes into your life is a starting point, and don't discard anything anybody gives you as far as resources, whether it's reading things on the market, reading things about publications, reading things about configurations, algorithms, art. How do you combine, art with science? Because you have to teach across the curriculum. That is the one thing we as educators were told. Teach across the curriculum to discover the student's need. And not every student learns nor thinks the same. So what we offer you as far as resources, we are just the beginning point. So virtual classes, webinars, podcasts, books, and just going back to your old professors and teachers and reinitiating those conversations, because you don't know what you're going to discover.
Awesome.
I'd like to add one more thing, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I know our time's
Oh,
almost
yeah,
up.
of course. No, go ahead, Jamie.
Recently, and I would say the last 5 years, I was invited to join some women's organizations, and I had joined Kappa Delta Pi, but I've also joined Delta Kappa Gamma. It's a women's society for educators of all aspects. And I've also joined one that I'm working with called the Texas Council for Women's School Executives. And I think that networking is the really big key. I think that's huge. And then the other thing that I will tell you too has been a big conversation, and Juanita, I'm sure you can piggyback on what I'm about to say, is start saving. I wish if someone had told me something sooner and younger, is start saving and investing, because it's so important and it's not too late. And so I know a lot of us are first and second generation college students and maybe not getting our degrees until our 30s and 40s or even later. Certainly that's the case for me. And I'm certainly not where I want to be savings wise, but it's not too late. Ask questions and don't be afraid to admit that your credit's bad or that you need help, because you want to plan. It's really important. And I feel like those were some lessons I got late. And I would really like to just kind of pass that lesson on. That's really important. Even if all you can save is $10 a week, save something, and really ask questions, because it's so important.
Jamie, I'm going to piggyback on something you said about the networking. You're absolutely right about the networking. The only thing I'm gonna be really specific is network with intention.
Mm-hmm.
Know why you're going to network. Don't just go and get business cards, get their names, and never act on it.
Mm-hmm.
When you network, make sure you network with intention.
Yes, indeed. I love
Good
it.
advice, ladies.
Definitely. And then even LinkedIn is very powerful,
Oh, yes.
like with the code
Yes.
and everything. Right now, I believe is our digital, the business card is our LinkedIn profile, right? So our students hopefully will be using the LinkedIn profile. I mean, the LinkedIn platform is more efficiently as well. And then regarding Jamie, what you said, I believe that it's important for me to highlight it is because our financial literacy, the experiential learning department, we have financial literacy right now. The team, the Eli and then their team, like doing really amazing job. Even they do have one-on-one money coaching still going on, even the COVID, but virtually, of course. So it's important is because, like you said, saving, how important is that? Or even asking some questions about, the credit. Hey, how can I develop really to build my, the credit in the future? I can invest in this and that. So that is a really great advice. We have only 3 minutes, but one more question. So the last question, what will be the most important advice? I mean, you touch base, all of you, a little bit, the last almost 1 hour, but the one most important advice to graduate you, like if you go back to your education time, what will be that advice you will give to yourself? Any one of you?
I want to say, I want to leave you all with a quote. So this kind of sums it all up to your question. Nelson Mandela said to us, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. I think we are all who are serving on this panel, including yourself, sir, we have many tools now to make a difference in many lives. And we did it through education. So that's what I'm going to leave you with.
It's powerful. Thank you, Jen. That's amazing.
Yes, sir.
Jamie?
My last piece of advice would be to embrace your individuality. And so while I believe in the collaboration and you're never, ever going to get away from group projects ever again in your life.
That's right.
Juanita was absolutely right that collaboration is the word that you're never going to get away from and hate. Embrace your individuality anyway, because there's always a natural leader. And if that's you, that's fine. And if people don't appreciate that about you, that's okay. Stay true to yourself and don't change yourself to merge into somebody else. I have a quote right here. It says, if you don't fit in, then you're probably doing the right thing. And it's not about trying to stand out. It's just not worrying about fitting in. Okay,
Nice.
So embrace your individuality.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie. Juanita, you still with us?
Yes, I am. I'm so sorry. I had
No.
My computer died on me, so I had to go to my phone.
No, you're
I have to echo with each and every one of you ladies 100%. People can give you a wealth of advice and direction, right? And we have the best intentions. And I've had many great mentors, many great sponsors, many great colleagues. And I've taken everything that people have given me, right? Never discard what people advise you because it may not apply to you at that moment. It's like having, your treasure chest of knowledge and information. It may not be applicable at that time, but it's like your secret treasure chest when you can pull things out. So the words of wisdom is be authentic to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Be the best you, and we hear it in such a cliche, but people want to know you. Professionals, and I say professionals like us, we want to know you. We don't want the cookie cut appearance of you. Because when you bring yourself, when you bring your true you, your authentic self, that's the person that's going to be present every day.
Awesome. Love that. Jen, Jamie, Juanita, thank you so much for your time, but also really sharing your experience and wisdom with us. Dr. Cooper, do you want to say anything? Would you like to say anything?
Just another thank you. I'm so inspired when I hear the three of you talk, and I'm honored to know you, and thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And Crystal,
you.
thank you so much as well joining us today. So before we wrap it up, I just need to remind a few things to our students. So I will share my screen back. So from I can do here. Okay, if technology helps me, yes, perfect. So we have our all major career fair. It's gonna be October 15th, next Thursday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. As you can see that I'm promoting wherever I have a chance, right? So our students, you can go to Handshake and then Jackson, you're gonna see either the link or the QR. It's maybe easier for you to learn more about the details, but go ahead and then register today. It's gonna be an amazing, amazing fair. We have employers from really diverse, the fields and then the sectors. So they are waiting to meet with you and then they hire you as you are our talented Jaguars. And the following week, we have graduate and professional school fair. Also, it's another exciting, the fair is because we have about 65 as of today, which still we have time. Hopefully it's gonna be 70 and more institutions from all around the nation, but even from outside of the country. We have one university from Switzerland. How amazing is that?
Wow.
Yes, Johns Hopkins University will be with us. UCLA will be with us. Those are like some of the institutions I can remember. From medicine school to law school, from the public health to education, the counseling. Like, imagine all the the science and the technology and engineering, like pretty much everything. But it's very exciting. Students, I encourage you to really join that event as well if your schedule allows. And then, as we always say, please keep in touch with us. As you can see that, we are working so hard. We are not as famous as Juanita, maybe. We don't have podcasts yet. But we do have our YouTube channel, Facebook, and Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Please follow us as at Tamisa Mace. And again, this, the session will be shared on our Tamisa Mace YouTube channel within 24 hours. Hopefully, it's going to be ready for tonight. And also, it's important for you to mark this attendance in Jackson so you can get the credit out of it. But thank you so much for everyone. Again, like sharing your wisdom and experience and success stories with our students. Again, thank you, Dr. May-K Cooper, to make this event make happen.
Thank y'all. Bye-bye. Have a great evening, y'all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, ladies.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, Dr. Kurt.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Jen.
Goodbye, everyone.
It was nice to see you. Bye-bye.